Umbrella Corps was the attempt to fuse the world of Resident Evil with an online tactical shooter. While it may at first have sounded like a mad idea, it did actually make some sense. The Resi universe did after all always have its own set of elite special forces, making prime material for a shooter. They were of course the Umbrella Corps, a private military group first seen way back in Resident Evil 2 with good old Hunk. These guys were usually tasked with the job of cleaning up after the Umbrella Company's mess. While the story was pretty non-existent in this game, it did loosely tell the tale of a training process that a wannabe Umbrella Corp member may have to go through in order to become a fully fledged employee. The first thing you may notice that's a little off with this game is how close the camera gets to the back of your character. It's right up against him, basically obscuring half of the screen. It's like it keeps wanting to prod him in the back of his neck. But the second major problem here is that there's something very fishy going on with the physics. Everything floats. That's the best way to describe it. It's as if nothing has any weight. Characters simply glided over the terrain as if it wasn't really there. And it got even more noticeable when you were crouched. The controls themselves were fine though, and actually allowed you to do a nice variety of different things. You could switch shoulders, you could glance quickly behind you, you could go prone in order to sneak your way like a dirty rat through the air vents. Each character also had a melee weapon known as the Brainer, which, as well as smashing enemies to pieces with, could also be used to climb walls and break down barriers. We'll get to the online components of the game in a bit, but while we're on the topic of the Brainer, using it online was in fact a no-brainer, because this thing was way too powerful. Not only did it speed up a player's movement, it also destroyed enemies in one simple locked-on hit. It killed them before they ever had a chance to shoot back, and it came with some serious lagging issues. As far as the single-player aspect of Umbrella Corps went, it was slim pickings. The game called it The Experiments, but basically it was just a string of quick little challenges basically involving shooting zombies. It was more like a mini-game than a fully fledged campaign. Levels and objectives would repeat multiple times in a row, making it incredibly repetitive. However, to be fair, it was pretty nostalgic getting to kill some old friends again, like the Cerebrus dogs, as well as hang out in some memorable locations, such as the village from Resident Evil 4. Eventually, it did end up providing a challenge, but there was never really an incentive to complete the 24 missions. And even for zombies, the AI here was ridiculously dumb. The main meat to this game then was to be found online. Funnily enough, the area where this game really shone was the stuff you did in between matches. The customization here was pretty much perfect, from personalising your looks to adding patches and stickers to your armour, to levelling up and unlocking new weapons and gear, with the weapons themselves then also levelling up, adding on a nice range of attachments, as well as having a cool Umbrella logo stat graph. Plus there were a bunch of personal challenges to complete so that every match felt worthwhile because you were always working towards something. And if you went on the web, you could try your hand at creating your very own logo, as well as look up detailed stats of all your matches. So with all of these great features, surely that would mean that the actual game itself also had to be great, right? Well, no, unfortunately not. There were two modes, one life mode, where players would only get one life, and a multi-mission mode, where the game would cycle about over a variety of different objectives. This mode was by far the more interesting option, with matches involving things like collecting briefcases, killing enemy team leaders, and exterminating special zombies. Yep, zombies also made an appearance in the multiplayer, and actually quite a significant one at that. Each player had a thing called a zombie jammer, which basically would make you invisible to the undead. Why the hell these things had never been used in any of the other Resident Evil games? Who knows, but they were very fragile. When a player took a few hits, their jammer broke, meaning that it was hunting season for the zombie hordes. It was extremely satisfying seeing an enemy escape from you, only to seconds later be ripped apart by the hungry zombies. The maps on offer were all very small, and combining this with the fact that players moved around like they were skating on an ice rink meant that matches were often over in the blink of an eye. This was a multiplayer that at least tried to have some imaginative, original ideas. It may mark the end of an era for Resident Evil, judging by the teaser for Resident Evil 7, which suggests that the main series at least is returning to its horror roots. But with Umbrella Corps, it may not have revolutionised the world of online shooters or anything like that, but it is admirable that it tried something new, even if it didn't really work. And for more video game reviews, be sure to check out A's Gaming Moments. Thanks for watching.